I will feast on your soul!
Feast on this motherfucker!
Hello, everybody. I'm John.
I'm Justin.
And welcome to
Gore
Gore Goblins,
Goblins.
the show where we talk about some of our favorite horror movies
Or some we don't like.
and some that we've never seen or heard from before, but we've definitely seen and or heard of this one before. Also, Cale's here. I forgot to mention.
Yeah.
Cale, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
They know who I am by now.
Do they?
Yeah. This
All right,
is 4
good.
episodes deep.
All right, good.
We've read the incantation 3 times to bring him here, so
Yeah.
they know.
We don't need it. Well, I figured we'd have you redo your little introduction since we're talking about a remake today, which is Evil Dead 2013.
No.
Not the Evil Dead 1981, but the Evil
Yeah.
Dead. It's just Evil Dead, no the.
Yeah, no the.
But you know, we
The
watched
title
that.
finally makes sense. No.
Yeah, we watched that. We watched that today, and we've known about it for a while. I've known about it for a while. I remember this movie came out the year that I graduated high school, and I didn't go see it because I was like, gore. I was a real shithead about it. But Justin probably watched it. I'd imagine.
Yeah.
When did you watch this one?
I saw it in theaters.
Did you see it in theaters, Cale?
Yeah.
Okay, so everybody had fun except me. I'm pretty sure my uncle, who also the same uncle that tried to get me to go see Grindhouse and Inglourious Bastards with him, was like, "Hey Jake, you want to go see Evil Dead?" And I was like, "Nah, I don't want to see that.
Dumbass bitch.
It's just schlock. Who cares?" And now I love schlock. Like now it's like my favorite thing in the world. But this movie isn't really schlocky.
No, this one takes. Yeah, it takes what could be a campy premise and it really pushes those boundaries.
Yeah, there's a lot of the first Evil Dead has a lot of body horror in it, sure, but this one, this one has a lot of body horror in it.
And it takes itself seriously.
It takes
Yeah.
itself very seriously, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. What about y'all two? How did y'all feel about it?
Yeah. It takes itself seriously, but not so much that it's not fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it can still, like, poke fun at itself, like how they fix every injury in this movie with duct tape.
Yeah, classic.
Just, like, it's shit like that. Nothing overt, like, no big laughs, but, like, just kind of subtle shit, like how much how much damage that dude takes.
That's what he
Keeps
gets for
coming
reading
back.
the book.
Eric's a real one, man. I'm gonna be honest. He's the best boy in
I
this
mean,
movie.
isn't that usually how it goes with like curses and shit? The one who reads it gets the worst punishment.
Not in the original.
No, yeah, not
Well, I mean,
Well-
I just mean in like
You mean in general?
myth bullshit.
Well, like maybe in the original because Ash gets it pretty bad.
yeah. Well, Bruce Campbell.
Yeah, that too.
But with I think it depends on what kind of curse you're dealing with, because sometimes I think the reader is like
Yeah,
emboldened, and then sometimes they're shit on by
because most
everything.
times when I look that shit up and try to find new things, it usually
Oh, you try to
says-
do a curse? Yeah, you try to put a curse on somebody? Yeah, I get it. We've all been there. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, what did you think of this, Justin? You saw it in theaters, and how'd you feel about it then? How do you feel about it rewatching it now?
You know, I had never I'd completely forgotten about the original movie before I saw the remake, so I didn't know what I was like getting into really. So I watched the original the night before I went to the theater, and I was not expecting such a dramatic turn.
You were like, oh, it's going to be fun. And then you walk out the theater. That wasn't fun. That wasn't nearly as fun as I thought it was going to be.
No, it was still fun to me.
Yeah, I didn't watch it in theaters. I had always known about the remake, and all I had known about it was that it was more visceral, which I think is what Cale told me initially
probably.
when I asked him about it. And then I had seen clips here and there, and then at work one time they were showing it on FX, and it was just uncensored, which was crazy to think about, because it was the middle of the fucking day, and it was just uncensored.
As long as there's no
Doesn't
titties.
care.
Yeah, as long as there's no titties, it's fine. But yeah, so I'd never watched it all the way through. I knew about the cameo. I knew about Bruce Campbell's little tease at the end. I knew about all that shit. But this is the only Evil Dead movie that I had never watched until now, all the way through. I've seen the first 3, I don't know how many times. I've seen Ash vs. Evil Dead twice, but this is the only piece of Evil Dead media outside of Within the Woods that I have not watched up until this point. And yeah, like I said, I liked it a lot more than I thought I would. It's very, it makes me squirm a lot, But you know what? That's okay. I like it. I like it when movies make me feel something, even if it's awful, even if it's an awful feeling.
Like this one kind of trudged close to torture porn, but I feel like it has a little bit more going for it. Has more personality, I guess.
I think its excuse is that it's demons from hell that
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
off on this shit.
Yeah.
So.
And it's funny because me, Cale, and another friend had just burned through all five Scream movies in a day to get ready for Scream 6.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Good
And
times.
it's funny because Scream 4 is all about like talking about torture porn and remakes and shit. And this movie hadn't come out yet because Scream 4 came out in 2011. But this movie hadn't come out yet, and it's kind of funny that this movie is everything that they were like commenting on in Scream 4. It's kind of torture porny, and then it's a remake, but like it follows the formula that all remakes follow, where it references the original enough, but also tries to do its own new thing, make its own rules. And I think this movie succeeds in that. I liked it a lot. So with that, now we're going to probably spoil the shit out of it and talk about it before I talk about how it was received and the production and all that. Just like we did last week with Dog Soldiers. It's, we're 23 episodes and we're still figuring it out.
Frog soldiers.
But yeah, Frog Soldiers.
Yeah, that's a sequel. Look forward to it.
Could you imagine? I wish. Could you honestly, if that was the fucking sequel, I'd be fine with it. God damn it. I'd be okay with it. I don't just give me
They
something.
just look like the hunters from Resident Evil.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Oh wait, Resident Evil 0 did have frog enemies.
Did it?
Yeah.
Resident Evil has like every manner of a big animal.
I mean, Outbreak File 2 had a zoo, so
yeah.
the
just-
boss was an elephant.
This animal, but big and dangerous.
Animal, but worse. Basically, that's the Resident Evil formula. Shinji Mikami looks at his wall. What animal have I not used yet? All right. But anyway.
Raccoon? Oh wait, that's the city.
Yeah. I'm surprised there weren't any zombie raccoons. But outside, that's enough of that. Cale, you want to go ahead and kick off the synopsis, the talking about of this film?
Well, this one starts out with something that I feel like we don't usually see in Evil Dead is like an extended look at what other people have dealt with, like involving the book aside from the main plot. Because like every other movie, I feel like only like it focuses on the main cast and like the shit that they deal with regarding the book. This one actually kind of shows like a previous story.
Yeah.
I guess something else that happened in the cabin before they got there.
Yeah, it's like a little stinger.
Yeah, pretty much. But I kind of wish we could have seen more of that because you see all this weird shit. You see all these like rednecks standing around watching.
Like Jim.
There's good old Jim, who they mentioned in the commentary was some dude who had been in like 2 plane crashes.
Yeah, was that Rob Tappert's son, or was that the other
No,
one?
I think that was the little kid that you see for like
Okay.
one shot.
Okay, because I had incorrectly written in my notes that was Rob Tappert's son that survived 2 plane crashes.
That's just some scarred up dude that they found. They're like, oh yeah, he's a good set piece.
Yeah, just like, what's his name from Hills Have Eyes?
Oh yeah, the big tall dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know his name.
I don't know his name either, but he's like a prolific horror actor for a reason.
Yeah, there's him. There's old witch lady speaking Welsh, I think is what they said.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and she's helping them try to cleanse a spirit.
Yeah, but by that point, like you get looks at the Naturam de Monto, as it's called in this one, similar to the original first one, and you already see like it's been like marked on, and like has like the scrawlings and stuff in it. So like that kind of gives the impression that this book has been passed around for a while, and like people have been making notes in it, like stay the fuck away from this thing.
And
Don't
of
mess
course,
with it.
nobody ever listens to that.
No, of course not.
Because then we wouldn't have a fucking movie otherwise.
They say that in the commentary. It's like if you put "don't read this book," you're gonna fucking read the book.
Yeah.
Tell me what to do.
Because like
Fuck
I
you,
think
book.
I know what you're talking about. I think Fede Alvarez was talking about how yeah, he's like everybody always asks me like, why would they read the book if it's got barbed wire around it and stuff? And he's like, well, the more something tells you not to do it, the more you want to do it.
Yeah.
He's like, that's just like human nature. Like that's just how we are as humans. He's like, so I mean, I don't think that's a valid criticism personally, and I'm inclined to agree, because yeah, if I saw a barbed wire book, now me, I'm too much of a pussy. I'd probably just be like, nah, I ain't touching that. But Justin would be like, let me look at it.
I mean-
I want to see it.
As soon as you get in the basement, you see like dead cats hanging from the ceiling. There's a shotgun on the fucking table next to a book and barbed wire. I'm getting the hell out of that place.
And then there's a pillar just charred. And why is
Yeah.
it charred, Cale?
Oh yeah, because homeboy sets his baby girl on fire after she goes all all deadite, and just caps her.
Yeah, it blows her fucking head off. There's a couple of line deliveries.
I like that last little fuck she says as the
Oh, yeah,
fire
she's
starts
burning.
to actually hurt.
There's a couple of line deliveries there from the father that kind of like make me laugh because they're not exactly good, but they're not really bad.
Yeah,
like
Yeah.
there's a
a little
part
bit
where it's
corny.
like, "Mommy's dead, baby. You already knew that though." And I'm just like, "Who the fuck?
You
Why would you
killed her.
talk like
Killed
that?" It's weird.
He sounds like he didn't know if he should be crying at this scene or hysterical.
and then it's just, "I love you, baby," and then just blows her fucking head off.
And then title card.
And then we get the little title card. I like the title card for this one because it's just I like the little branches.
Yeah,
Fucking
and like the big-
infecting the font.
And the
And
big,
then Insidious had to ruin it by
yeah.
copying
the
it.
big snake eater music sting.
Yeah,
When it
and
hits.
yeah, it's very good. It's very good.
No, Insidious is fine.
And then
At
we
least the
get
first two are.
well. Is that one that we were looking at covering eventually?
I mean, eventually.
It's like
Yeah.
there's like 4 of them, isn't there?
Oh my god.
I
Yeah.
think there's gonna be another one. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
I think they are making another one.
I always get that one mixed up with Sinister, and I don't know why.
There's only 2 of those.
Yeah,
Which one's the one with Ethan Hawke? That's Insidious.
that's the first one.
Sinister.
That's Sinister.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
first one.
Where Ethan Hawke like finds like pictures of like hanged
Yeah.
people or so. Okay. I see. I don't know the fucking difference. But anyway, after the title card, we get this dope ass shot. This like upside down crane shot, or not crane shot, drone shot, I guess.
That or helicopter.
Yeah, it's really cool either way. And in the commentary, I think Fede talked about how like, yeah, like Sam Raimi did all these cool tricks. He's like, and I just wanted to try to do some of that.
Yeah.
He's like, I know I can't copy him. He's like, but I tried. But yeah, it turns around and guess what? It's a group of people going to a cabin. Well, specifically, David and his girlfriend, I think. That are in
Yeah,
the Jeep.
this one is just David and Nat
Mm-hmm.
driving up to the cabin.
I remember being so impressed with that shot because Evil Dead was the first Blu-ray I ever owned and saw it on the first HD TV I ever had. So I was like, oh my god, this is fucking top quality.
Nothing's ever gonna get better than this.
And now here I am with a $1,200 TV.
Yeah, that's what
What-
happens.
How much
man.
was our Blu-ray players? 500?
Yeah, I got mine on sale for like $4 though.
Just buy a PS5 at that point.
Wow. I mean,
Yeah.
But yeah, then we get the shot, and it's David and his girlfriend,
Yeah, Natalie.
Natalie. That's her name.
There's that whole thing with the names too. The first letter of all their names: David, Eric, Mia, Olivia, and Natalie spell out demon.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's some fucking Dead Space shit. That's cool.
Oh yeah, they did that too.
That's cool. But yeah, they pull up, and Olivia, Eric, and Mia are already there. And I guess so this is the part that gets me is why wouldn't you just book Mia into rehab? Like, why do some weird like intervention in a fucking cabin? Like, I get it, the movie wouldn't happen otherwise, but like realistically, isn't that what you would do? Is just book her into rehab?
I guess. Well, like in rehab,
Maybe she didn't want to be around strangers.
That's fair.
that
That's fair.
they've. I mean, and like Olivia said, they tried it before, and it didn't work.
Yeah.
So they had to go to like more extreme methods.
Yeah, so into a secluded cabin that I think it's inferred that Mia and David's parents owned.
Something like that. They'd visited
Yeah.
there when they were younger,
Mm-hmm.
and they did not clean it at all before getting there.
No. And then,
Ugh.
but I think, I'm pretty sure, yeah, it's been like inhabited by other people and things
As you can tell by the opening.
since then, yeah. And yeah, so they meet up, and David says hi to everybody, and you can tell it's been a while since he's seen any of them really.
Yeah. And that's something that I thought was pretty cool about this one, because OG Evil Dead is just a group of friends.
Here are these people.
Yeah, here are these
Watch
people.
them.
They're going to hang out at a cabin for some reason.
Yeah, cool, yeah.
This one adds a lot of character to it. Like
Yeah.
they're there to help Mia detox. They need to be in a secluded area. They need to be away from people, and it adds the doubt of like, should they believe her when like she starts saying all this crazy shit and
Yeah.
doing all this stuff.
I kind of like all the different layers to it, yeah.
Because it worked.
Yeah, it works very well. And again, that's what I was getting at earlier, where it's like it does everything, it does enough to please fans of the original while also doing
Yeah.
its own thing very well.
Yeah, you don't have to have seen any of the originals to get this one.
But there's a bunch of callbacks, like Mia sitting on the classic.
Yeah, the classic.
Which implies to me that like I don't know. That's why I always got mixed up on whether or not this was like a sequel, kinda, because of shit like that. But it was just an homage.
I mean, that could have just been like their parents' car.
Yeah.
That like I feel like every old house has an old car rotting
Yeah.
in the back.
Not everything has to be connected. Plus, if it was a sequel, that wouldn't make sense because Ash's classic went with him to medieval times. So
That and the book looks different.
yeah, it looks very different. But yeah, so then we get introduced to all the characters. Eric's the best one. He's my favorite.
Yeah.
Olivia's Eric's girlfriend, and then Mia and David are brother and sister, and then Natalie is David's girlfriend. And they go into the house, and it looks like shit because it's a fucking cabin in the middle of the woods.
Yeah.
And someone broke in.
And somebody broke in, apparently, yeah. Which makes me wonder. I wonder if like that family at the beginning just broke into the cabin
They probably did.
to do what they wanted to do
Probably to like set up that ritual.
Yeah. with the weird witch lady.
And
Thought,
all
well,
the
nobody
cats.
lives here anymore. Let's just do
You
this.
fuck it. Nobody lives here. Whatever.
Did they explain the cats? Is that
No.
a thing that was like glossed over?
The book showed a brief picture of it that said break all their bones as part of the cleansing. I don't know.
But did it show a picture of a cat?
Yeah, it had a cat
That's
hanging upside
weird.
down on the book.
So maybe that's some kind of like sacrifice, maybe.
I guess that makes sense.
Like, yeah, there's a lot of shit they don't really.
I don't know. Cats are supernatural.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And that's cool too. They show a lot of shit from the book.
Yeah.
A lot of the hidden lore of how it works, but they don't really show it on screen.
And they don't hand spoon feed it to you either.
Yeah, like it's
which
just
I
them
like a
reading
lot.
through it.
I always appreciate that in a horror movie where they don't like overtly explain everything to you.
Oh, we
Yeah.
forgot a character.
Who?
Grandpa.
Grandpa
the dog.
See, when she said Grandpa, I was like, is that the name of the fucking dog?
Yeah.
Like, I was
Yeah,
like, is that?
that was the dog.
So that makes me think like me being me, I'm just like, oh, because Grandpa's soul is in the dog, and that's like the first thought I had, and I'm like, it doesn't make any sense. Why are you thinking that? Like, what the fuck does that? What does that have to do with that? That doesn't work. That doesn't
Your
work.
dog, eat the ashes. You are now Grandpa.
You are now Grandpa. Yeah, so Grandpa the dog
Catholics.
is unfortunately there. Can you say Catholics?
Yeah. That's what they do, right?
Yeah, you know, communion,
Yeah,
whatever.
Unfortunately, because we all know what happens when we got a good boy in a movie.
You all know what happens when
Oh,
there's
yeah.
an animal. That's my favorite thing about Prey is the good boy doesn't die.
Oh, yeah.
It's the best thing about that movie. But yeah, so they walk into the cabin. It's all fucked up. Mia does some like big dramatic shit where she dumps her dope in a well. You know, because you know she's trying to kick it. She's
Yeah.
trying to go. She's gonna go through them withdrawals. Immediately, Mia smells something, and it's probably the cats.
But we don't know that yet.
And we don't know that yet. Yeah, she's just like, this fucking smells awful. And then like we get a bunch of good scenes where everybody's talking to each other, and they're like, David's like trying to, I guess, reincorporate himself into the friend group, but like
Yeah,
obviously they're like,
Trying to ingratiate himself, but you can tell that there is some kind of negative history there.
yeah, there's tension and
I mean, I guess they say it by the beginning, right? That like they were, yeah, it's when he and Mia are like looking at pictures
Yeah.
or something, and she mentions that like when their mom was having like a mental downturn, he wasn't there. Like Mia had to take care of all that herself.
And then when like there's another line that just breaks my heart when she's talking about how her mom was on her deathbed and like she's like she thought I was you for like a whole day, you
Yeah.
know, she just and I had to play along. She's like, and I lied to her every time saying you would show up or whatever. I think that might have been a later line. But,
Yeah.
But you know, basically there's a lot of negative tension, and I think that adds an interesting element to it.
Yeah.
Again, it's like Cale said earlier. You know, the OG is just a bunch of friends, and this one adds a little more.
A lot of like surprisingly real emotional shit.
Yeah,
Like when David first introduced Natalie to Olivia, and she's like, "Oh, the doctor." No, I'm nurse. Like her face was just like, "You
Oof.
fucking bitch."
She
yeah,
I tried.
she just gets back in the car and leaves.
yeah. Shit.
But hey, there's nothing wrong being a nurse.
She probably would have been better off if she had left, honestly. But yeah, so
And that's something funny that they mention in the commentary. It probably says it in the script too, but it doesn't really, they don't say it in the movie, is that I think Natalie has only been dating David for like 2 or 3 months at this point.
wow.
And so like no one really knows who she is.
Yeah,
And
we're doing this big thing. Just bring it.
yeah, we're having a party out of the cabin.
Your sister's gonna go through the worst 3 days of her life. Bring your girlfriend. that was on the flyer
Yeah.
that he got sent. But yeah, so you know, then Eventually,
Well, David probably did that for his own comfort, knowing it'd probably be awkward.
Yeah.
Since everyone has tension with
I need
him.
someone to talk to.
yeah, I need somebody here that's got my back.
That doesn't hate me.
If no one got me, I know Natalie got me.
Is she supposed to be French?
No,
No?
but she does. She is not
she
American.
has like a weird voice.
She's not
I couldn't
American.
place it.
Because in the interviews on the special features, she is not American, so she might just have a wobbly American
Oh,
accent.
really?
Yeah,
didn't know that.
just like Kit Harington and what was that movie that?
Oh, Silent Hill Revelation.
Yeah, Silent Hill Revelations. That our friend was telling us that Kit Harington was in it. And he has like the worst American accent ever.
Oh, she's Australian.
She's Australian. Okay.
Okay.
What is it with pretty blonde women being Australian? You got Margot Robbie, Naomi Watts, Nicole Kidman,
Yeah.
Samara Weaving.
They got a type.
What the fuck? It's weird. Samara Weaving was in Ash vs. Evil Dead too, so you know that's at
Yeah,
least
that's
one-
the first time I saw her, I
connection.
think. And she
Yeah.
just gets the shit beat out of her
Yeah, poor girl.
in classic Evil Dead fashion.
That's rough. But yeah, so you know, we get those little moments of like character development and stuff, and then eventually the dog starts sniffing around,
Yeah.
and there's like a rug covering a door to the cellar.
Yeah, this is when Mia's like really having a breakdown about like
Oh,
that,
yeah.
about that smell just being overwhelming.
Yeah, and she's like freaking out and stuff. Yeah, she's already going through it.
And
Uh,
then good old grandpa starts sniffing around,
what the dog doing?
and then
And
he
then,
it starts like sniffing at a rug. David sees what he's doing, pulls the rug up, and then of course they see the cellar trademark.
And there's just blood smeared
Yeah, going into it.
all over it. And Eric, being the smart one, is just like, "Is that blood?" And everybody else is like, "I don't know." And I was just like, "Oh my god, y'all are gonna make it." And then they go down. I think it's just all of them go down, right?
No,
No.
I think
It's just David and Eric.
yeah, the rest of them stay at in the cabin.
And then and when they go down, there's a lot of good reincorporation in this movie too. There's
Yeah.
the nail gun as they're fixing up the cabin. There's the automatic knife when she's carving up the food, I guess
Yeah.
that they never eat. There's
There's the pliers when
Mhm.
he's cutting the barbed wire off the book.
There's the broken step, and
Yeah.
when they're going into the cellar, and there's a lot of very good reincorporation. I like it a lot of good foreshadowing. But they're going down in there, and
You
Eric's
just-
like,
You just see your path has been updated.
pretty much.
The Necronomicon will remember that.
But Eric gets down there, and he's like, it smells like burnt hair, which was apparently an improv line.
Yeah.
And then they go into the fuck room from the beginning, and it's just you see all the dead cats, and they find the book not bound in barbed wire, but like wrapped in barbed wire in a trash bag, and then there's
the shotgun, the classic
sh-
double barrel sitting next to it.
the shotgun, the support beam that's charred and
Yeah.
fucking all fucked up, and it was just like, hey, we're gonna be curious now, and then I think Eric grabs the book and goes up, and then they both go upstairs. And there's that line that I like a lot where, what is it? I think Olivia says something like, well, it's okay. The smell will go away in a couple days. And Mia's just like, yeah, okay. And it's like the most realistic reaction to that information that you could possibly have. Because there's a bunch of fucking dead cats. Of course it's going to smell awful. But then, they, at night, I'm assuming they all go to bed at some point. Because then it goes to the next day when it's raining, right?
Yeah, like at least one day passes,
Yeah.
I think.
And it's raining, and Mia's stomping out in the front yard,
Yeah, getting her steps in.
getting just freezing to death. And in the commentary, Jane Levy was talking about how she really liked filming that for some reason. She's stomping around, and then Eric, who maybe isn't as smart as I said he was initially, decides to open up the barbed wire.
Well, like it's like one throwaway line, but I think they mention he's a teacher.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because at the beginning, he's like, it only took you being an English teacher for like a year to be.
Yeah, teaching high school to.
High school already made you bitter.
Yeah, that's what it was.
That's what he's like. No, I just had to wait for you.
So homeboy's an academic, has
Yeah.
that curiosity.
Boy, was he curious, and boy, did it bite him in the ass.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty clever, like him getting the text by like putting the paper over it and like scrawling.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, he opens it up, and he sees that it's bound in flesh. Doesn't have a face.
Yeah.
Like the classic Necronomicon. But it's just bound in flesh. Looks like some shit out of Jeepers Creepers,
And like I guess the pages are like really rigid or something, because like one of them like slices his finger.
Oh,
as
I
he- as
thought
he's
he
turning
touched
it.
the barbed wire.
No.
Is that what it? No, yeah, I think he
touched the page.
Is the page?
cut it on the corner of a page.
Oh, okay.
So maybe it's like, I don't know, really thick dried skin or some shit. Who
Oh
knows?
yeah, paper cuts suck.
Yeah.
That was a deep paper cut though.
It's the most painful thing in the movie.
Yeah, and so he's looking through it, and we get shots of Mia. It's like back and forth between Mia walking around outside and
as
Eric
he's-
reading the book,
Yeah, reading the incantations.
and then we get some as he's reading the incantations, we get some classic
Yeah, the
evil,
force
evil
going through the woods.
POVs, and I love that. I'm glad that they kept that in there. And we get those, and he keeps reading and he keeps reading because he's a big silly boy, and then eventually they get to Mia, and I like it because you get the music and like the rushing noise with the first few POV shots, and then for that last one it's just quiet, and then like Mia sees a vision of herself, I guess, and then she throws up.
Yeah, like and that's kind of a recurring thing, like her seeing this, I guess, like a literal manifestation of her inner demons.
Yeah, and but like I like how it's also like vague enough for them to just be like, oh, she's just going through withdrawals. It's whatever. She's just fucking crazy. She's
Yeah.
she's gonna try to do whatever she can to get out and all that stuff.
They have that reason for doubt.
Yeah, and it's raining, and it was raining in real life too. Gotta love the immersion, and so I think at this point she goes back inside and she's like, I gotta get out of here. I gotta get out of here. Like she's freaking out. Got a bunch of snot in her nose. Classic white girl behavior. So she's freaking out.
The old Blair Witch.
And then, oh yeah, that's right. She's freaking out, and she goes to her room, and then like she escapes out the window, and she gets in a car. I think it's the car that Eric and them drove
Yeah, someone
in
they
on.
brought her in.
Yeah.
It's not the Jeep.
And she starts driving off, and I'll say this: Jane Levy acts her fucking ass off in
Yeah?
this movie. She is very good in this movie.
Yeah, she fucking brings it.
If the Oscars gave a shit about horror movies, she should have gotten nominated. Her and fucking Toni Collette and Hereditary both. All right, come on, just fucking. I hate it. But so then she's like freaking out in the car, like, "What the fuck am I doing?" Like, we've all been there, having a breakdown in our car. It happens.
Good times.
But she ends up seeing again the manifestation in the road, and she swerves off the road and crashes into Michigan swamp.
Yeah.
Poor girl. But I don't know how I feel about the manifestation thing, because I also kind of like how in the original two movies it was just them like looking at something but you couldn't see what it was. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like when Ash is being chased through the cabin and shit.
Yeah, like something's chasing it, but you don't actually see what it is.
And I kind of like that more, but also at the same time I think it's a good metaphor for like
Yeah.
her struggling with her withdrawals and stuff.
Yeah, being her own worst enemy.
Yeah,
And also,
literally.
like, the whole, like, chasing force thing isn't used very often in this.
No,
So,
it's mainly the manifestation.
yeah.
But yeah, so then she crashes, she wakes up, and she tries to get away, and
You know what I don't understand about that part?
what?
Which
She
part?
gets out of the car to like figure out where she's at.
And she doesn't go towards
She's
land.
closer to land backwards than she is forwards.
Listen, man, withdrawals are a bitch. I
I
don't
get
know.
she hit her head, but
I don't know. She's going through it. I'll forgive it. But yeah, she gets her stuff from the car, and then she starts getting chased by the Force
Yeah.
at one point. And then, thanks to Rob Tappert, we get a
Good old Robbie.
we get another tree rape scene.
the literal root of evil goes into her.
Yeah, which is okay. Also, another thing this movie does well is it's like nothing but practical effects, which is great outside of a few visual effects shots. But apparently, that shit that's coming out of Mia's manifestation's mouth is actually coming out of Mia's mouth. Like apparently that was like they like made it look. They touched it up with CGI, but apparently shit was actually coming out of her mouth. And I'm like, that's awful.
I mean, yeah, same with the blood vomit.
Yeah, the blood. Oh, we're getting to that. But so, yeah, she starts getting. She gets bound by the tree branches, just like Cheryl did in the original.
And then gets diddled.
But this time, she sees the manifestation of herself, and she starts bloping up some black shit. And
I think that time when it threw up the thing, it was the other girl from the beginning. It looked like her.
in
don't
the commentary, they say that every shot of the manifestation is Jane Levy in makeup.
No.
So I
Yeah.
don't know.
I think it's all supposed to be her, like, haunting herself. Like
Yeah.
at the end with the abomination, that's I think they said like a stunt person wearing a mask of her face.
Yeah. A la Sleepaway Camp.
Yeah, exactly like it.
Yeah, just like that. but so yeah,
And there's
she throws up a black slug thing and
what's like a slimy coil of thorns or something.
then it crawls up Mia's leg and you know where it goes.
Goes up in her.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks for that.
I mean, and Fede mentions, or it might have been Fede or Rodosaiagis, I think is his name, the co-writer.
Yeah, the co-writer.
They say like they wanted to give it a little bit more purpose in this one. So instead of just being an explicit like rape scene, that's more of like the evil taking root in
Yeah.
her. Like that's when it gets control of her.
And it was that wasn't in the script either. it was all Rob Tappert's idea to be like, hey, we need to do that again, because it wasn't controversial enough. So
It's not enough bad things happening to women in this.
yeah, I need to, I gotta have something. Just throw me a bone. And so then she goes back into the house, and they find her.
Yeah,
they
just like-
find her like in the fetal position.
Yeah, next to a tree.
Next to a tree, yeah, and they take her back, and Olivia's like, oh, she's gonna do anything she can to fucking get out of here. Like, you don't understand.
Well,
Like,
first she gets offended because David says, "Oh, we need to take her to a hospital."
yeah,
Yeah.
And she's like, no,
I'm
like,
doing the same thing they would do at a hospital.
yeah, and she's like all like, yeah, she's full of herself, and that's okay because we'll see what happens to her. But yeah, she's like, so she like starts saying, yeah, she's gonna try to do anything she can to get out of here, and then
And to be fair, she's probably seen this kind of thing a lot, so she's probably seen all the tricks.
being a nurse, yeah.
Yeah, she knows all the drama. She knows all this shit.
But then one of my favorite scenes in the movie is when David goes to talk to Mia after Olivia patches her up, and like Mia's like
Yeah, just wide-eyed.
wide-eyed and in very hushed tones talking about how we need to get out of here, like something's in here with us, and I don't want to be like we have to leave and shit. And she plays off the trauma very well. Again, Jane Levy acts her fucking ass off. She's
Yeah.
so good in this goddamn movie.
And David's just like, stop tripping.
Yeah, he's just like, I'm not helping you, bitch. Fuck you. And then like we get some more conversations between characters, and I think
No, he gave the like weakest line ever. You just got to get it together.
Yeah.
yeah,
Bye.
I mean, but like at the same time, what are you supposed to say? Like
Be more helpful.
I mean that's his character. Like he doesn't know what to do.
yeah, because he's been gone for so long.
Like he's
too.
there just as an accessory, basically, while everyone else does the work.
And then I think Olivia talks to Eric to go and help him clean up the cat mess in
Yeah, the cat corpses.
the cat corpses, and Eric's like, nah, fucking, I'm Eric. And then and then it cuts to David outside, and he's throwing away some cat corpses in a what looks like a metal barrel, but it's a trash can. And then he sees blood, and he follows it, and he's like, "Where's Grandpa?" And then he sees Grandpa in a hole, like in a little like.
Another bit of foreshadowing.
Yeah, another little foreshadowing that gets reincorporated later. And he goes into the tool shed, or the work shed, sorry.
Work shit.
Work shed. And then he lifts up like, and like I guess he knew that it was there.
Yeah, they probably like played in it when they were kids.
Yeah,
or
so
something.
he lifts like something, and then
It's like it's a foxhole like going into the ground and like leading into a hole that's in the work shed.
so then he grabs Grandpa, and poor Grandpa, he's been through it.
Yeah.
And he's dying, and David's like all sad, and he sees a hammer on the ground, and he puts two and two together, and I think it was Mia, but like I'd like to think that it's in his head. That's what he thinks. Like what you see of her just hitting something. That's like what's going on in his head. And then he's understandably upset, and I like this shot too. This shot where it just follows him through the cabin. And as he goes into the bathroom, and he's like, "Where the fuck's Mia?" And she's in the shower, and then we get another great scene of body horror, where Mia's taking a shower, and she just turns the heat all the way up.
Using up all the hot water.
Yeah, like oh my god! But it starts scalding her, but she doesn't care.
Nah.
She's a demon. Who cares?
Yeah.
She gets like a fucking blister pops at one
like
point
on her face.
and it's gross. And then David starts freaking out, so he gets her in the Jeep and like tries to drive.
Yeah, this is when they decide,
Away.
okay, like we need to fucking get her out of here.
Yeah, and then he comes across a river that just completely flooded the way home.
We get this movie's reason for why they can't leave.
Yeah.
So in the other ones, it's the bridge just being torn to shit.
Yeah.
And this one, the road that they came in on is completely flooded.
And the river was also practical. That's fucking crazy. Wow. Fede was like, yeah, he's like, I wanted running water. He's like, but I didn't want to do any CG. He's like, so I just waited for God to flood it. he's like, I waited until it rained for like a good couple days, and he's like, and I got what I wanted.
Yeah, they did that a few times. Like at the end when Mia's walking away and there's like those God rays coming through the trees. He said that's real. They just waited until the sun came up and they got that shot.
Yeah, and
respect.
That's very cool. Yes, and then at that point, he's like, well, fuck, what am I going to do now? And then he takes her back.
No, it's the good shot of her smiling through the windshield.
Oh, yeah, with all that fucking shit coming out of her mouth.
Like foam and stuff.
Gross. Yeah, that's a cool shot, too. There's a lot of good shots in this movie. Like
it looks really good.
Yeah, it's the cinematography in this movie is fantastic. I really like it. There's a lot of good use of shadows and people coming out of shadows that I enjoy quite a bit.
I think the only visual flair that bugs me is that zoom they do like 100 times. Like anytime something dramatic is happening, they'll just do like this quick like zoom in on it.
But that was like the style of the time. That shit was all over Avengers, I remember.
I guess so.
Yeah. So I mean, it's
a little bit corny, but it's
Evil Dead, you know?
I guess
fucking, so. I'll excuse it. It was also used in the Sam Raimi-esque montage sequence where he's getting everything together, so I appreciated it there. But he takes Mia back, and like I think Olivia mentions that she like gave her like basically horse tranquilizer or something, and she'll be out for a while. And then they're all talking in the main room, and then Mia starts dragging her feet into the main room. Another great shot that would make Quentin Tarantino proud. And she's dragging the double barrel with her. And like I think David sees her,
and I think Eric sees her first, and then they all see her just sort of like dazed and like twitching, sauntering in,
which seems to be the common thing that happens to people when they get possessed in this movie. Is they start twitching.
It makes like that bug sound effect, and then they start getting all twitchy.
And then she puts up the gun.
Yeah, one hands that shit.
And one hands it, shoots David in the arm.
Yeah, like I think like it grazes his arm.
And it breaks the window. And then we get another one of my favorite parts of the movie because my favorite character from the original Evil Dead, Cheryl, makes a little voice cameo here.
Yeah.
Where the camera does one of those crazy zoom-ins from outside into the cabin, and Mia's just screaming her fucking head off, and then you hear the "one by one we will take you" and all that shit. I'm like, yeah, and I love it. And then we get this. We get another iffy line delivery for me where she just kind of says, "You will all die tonight," and then she collapses.
It reminded me of the Red Queen in Resident Evil.
Yeah.
The movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're all going to die down here.
At least, speaking of video game movies, at least it wasn't as bad as "Too Bad You Will Die." At least nothing's ever going to top that shit from Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Oh, yeah.
So,
nothing tops anything that movie did.
Fucking Sid Dell just going ham. But yeah, so then she collapses, and I think...
we get a classic Evil Dead fake out.
Yeah, because David's like, go get the fucking gun before she wakes up or whatever.
So Olivia like crawls over, grabs a shotgun, and then Mia, of course, just comes back, grabs her, and then we get a shot of her eyes going dead-eyed.
Yeah, and in this movie, it's just like yellow irises.
Yeah, like
instead
tints
of
over
instead
yellow.
of just the caked on white
just
shit.
Think the Sith eyes from Star Wars.
Yeah,
yeah, it does
pretty
look
much.
like that a lot. One thing I want to say too is the use of jump scares and the way the score works in this movie. It kind of reminds me of The Crazies, which is where the score was very. I don't know. I like the score for the most part, but that like rising violin string shit always kind of irks me every now and then. And there's a few jump scares in the movie, but like I don't know, it's nothing egregious.
No.
At least I didn't feel so. It wasn't like The Crazies where they really just kind of went overboard with it.
I mean, most of the substance in this movie comes from like the tension and like the violence and stuff like that.
And the body horror, yeah. Which, speaking of, Mia grabs Olivia's hand and like throws her, and then she gets on top of her and just actually throws up blood on her.
Yeah.
They had to do that like 4 times, I think. in the commentary, I think they said that.
Like, it took me a while to figure out how they did this, because all they would say is that, like, oh yeah, I'm doing this for real. I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, you're doing this for real? But then I saw, it was like a clip from behind the scenes, and what they did was they had a hose, like, coming out of the ground and going into Jane Levy's mouth. And from there, I think it would just blast fake blood into her mouth, which would then come back out and then get all over whatever the fuck Olivia's name is. Because, yeah, the clip, like, showed, like, the blood pouring out of her mouth, and then when it stops, there's a hose that just, like, falls over. So I think that's how they did it. So when all that shit's coming down, you don't even see the hose going into Jane's mouth. So,
Yeah, that's rough, man.
yeah, clever, though.
I don't like that.
I like when she's done throwing up the chunks that are in
Yeah.
Olivia's
That are in
hair.
Olivia's hair.
It's,
Yeah,
like,
it's gross, dude. But anyway, I think Olivia tosses
Tosses her into...
Mia into the cellar, and I love it when David goes to close it because Mia's just fucking standing there, just staring up at him.
That was Eric, I think.
Oh, that was Eric. Okay,
Eric
again,
closed-
great use of shadows.
Yeah, she's just standing there.
I fucking there's so many good shots in this fucking movie.
Well, like, yeah, because the cool thing about that scene is you see her standing at the bottom of the stairs, and as soon as he closes it, like, there's a bang on the cellar door, like, a second later.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah, and then he
I like that
bolts it.
stuff.
He bolts it, and they hear her just start, like, basically banging herself against the wall.
Yeah.
And David's like, you got to go in there and tranquilize her some more. And then Olivia's like, she'll be in a coma. And he's like, I don't care. So then she goes to the bathroom to clean up and get everything.
Get the chunks of puke out of her hair.
Yeah, and while she's in there, I like this shot a lot, where she opens the cabinet mirror and starts grabbing the trank shit, and then you get another shot where you see it closing.
Yeah, by itself.
And then she sees herself with, like, her jaw all fucked up.
And she sees herself in a couple minutes.
Yes, and then it closes, and all the glass splinters
Yeah.
and breaks off and shit. And then she grabs her stuff and tries to leave, and then she kind of gets, like, stopped.
Yeah, she turns and sees the door to that room start closing, and when she starts running, she just, like, comes to a dead stop.
And then she pisses herself.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, let's be fair, I probably would too. But she pisses herself, and she starts to get possessed. She does little twitches and shit. And then I think does Eric hear the door slam? I think, is that why he goes to investigate?
Yeah, then the door slams completely.
And here's one of the best. I really like this part because it made me squirm. And like I said, I like it when stuff makes me feel something, even if it's disgust. And so Eric goes in to investigate. And in the commentary, they were talking about how this scene was initially a lot quicker and shorter, but Sam Raimi was like, "No, you got to draw it out." He's like, "You got to make this."
It was supposed to end when, like, he knocks her over and she slams, like, on the toilet.
And he was like, "You got to draw this shit out." He's like, "You got to make it scarier, make it more impactful." And they were like, "Okay." So
you say so.
So Eric walks into the bathroom, and, like, you hear a sound that isn't very pleasant.
Yeah.
And then you get, like, a quick shot of Olivia, and her arm is just, like, fucking
Yeah, she's going at something.
going crazy. And and then Eric's like, Olivia? And then she turns around, and her face is all fucked up.
Yeah, she's just been standing there cutting off chunks of her face with a piece of the broken mirror.
And I love Eric just like, why would you do that? Like, that's, again, such a real reaction. Is why would you do that? And then, like, he slips on a fucking piece of her cheek.
Yeah.
And just fucking falls.
I feel like-
hate when he hits the toilet
Yes.
because
Oh,
I
yeah.
feel that.
He actually
Yeah,
did that
and he
too.
did
That
that
was a
for
real
real.
fucking pratfall. He fucking just falls lower back, hits the toilet, and then he just writhes in pain. He's like, and I had to do that like 10 times. He's like, but I did it every fucking time.
I feel like him slipping on a piece of her face has got to be, like, a little bit of that dark comedy
Yeah.
in there. 'Cause
It's good.
it's kind of just, like, morbidly funny.
And then he doesn't break anything. But then she comes up to him with the shard of the mirror that she was cutting her face with, and
Yeah.
just starts stabbing the fuck out of him.
Well, she stabs him once, like, in the shoulder with the glass, and then picks up the syringe
Yeah.
with, like, that she was gonna have the tranquilizer in, and just starts fucking having at his face with it.
Breaking his glasses, and the needle gets stuck in his face, and
Yeah.
you get another practical shot of him pulling that shit out of his face. I have no fucking idea how they did that shit.
That's kind of clever how they did that, because, like, what he's doing is he's just, like, palming the needle, and then just kind of, like, sliding his finger down it, and then grabbing it and, like, pulling it away.
Okay.
When he gets to the end.
Huh.
So yeah, that's all just, I guess, done in camera.
That's cool.
just with sleight of hand.
That's very cool. Yeah, and then so then he does that, and then he does that after he's able to kick Olivia off of him, and she like bangs her head on the sink, and
Yeah, she,
and
like-
then she squashes her head on the fucking
Yeah,
edge
like,
of the shower.
Breaks off a chunk of the sink or the toilet or whatever. Like
Yeah,
brains herself on the shower.
and then she gets up and keeps coming after him, and then he grabs the chunk that fell off of the sink or toilet or whatever and starts beating her fucking head in.
Gets schmacking.
Yeah, he gets to killing, and then that's when everybody else decides to come in.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna pretend that it's because the door was locked, but that's when everybody decides to come in. And he's like, "She was trying to kill me. I had to do it." And I'm just like, "No, I get it, bro. You're all right. I forgive you. I wouldn't be upset personally. You're cool." And then they do what you shouldn't do in every movie, and they pull out the fucking shard of glass from his chest and duct tape over it.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
Throw some paint thinner on it, you know, and they patch him up, and Mia's just in the fucking cellar just spazzing out, having a great time, and then I'm trying to remember the sequence of events from here.
He sends Natalie in to get, I think, sugar and water is what he said.
Yeah,
I guess like something for his. I don't know. I'm sure it makes sense, but
into the cellar, right? Is that when she goes into the cellar?
no, he sends her just back into the cabinet, grab it.
Okay.
And then when she's in the kitchen getting the stuff together, she hears the cellar door blow open.
That's right.
And then yeah, she turns around, like she hears like noises and muttering around the cabin. And oh yeah, and then she hears Mia like crying from the cellar.
So she goes to investigate.
Calls her name.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then she walks up and just sees Mia sitting at the bottom step.
Why am I down here? My leg hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's that. Oh, that's another one of my favorite shots because she's like crying blood.
Yeah.
And she's like trying to talk it's such a good shot because Olivia or Natalie's in the background coming down. And it's just a close up of Mia's like face, like
Yeah.
kind of her side profile, and she's like crying, and she's like, I don't know what's going on. She's like, I don't know what happened, like, and all this other shit, and then eventually she reveals her true self naturally, and then Natalie tries to get away, and she does, but then Mia grabs her ankle.
Well, the step breaks.
Yeah,
That kept on coming up before.
kept on squeaking.
Yeah, she stumbles, falls, and then gets pulled into the cellar.
And then it cuts to black when the cellar door closes, and then it goes back to Natalie just on the fucking, on the steps vibing out, and then Mia.
Then
Here comes Mia.
We get some of that good fucking Yuri action.
Yeah, Mia comes in and she starts licking her leg and shit, and I don't remember if it was a joke they made in the commentary or if originally she was supposed to try to eat her out at some point.
I think he said that's kind of like what they're building up to.
Yeah. And then she says, "I can smell your filthy soul." That's basically her saying, "I can smell you."
It's kind of funny because when that scene started, Jane Levy was like, "Oh, my first sex scene."
yeah. Then I think Natalie makes the mistake of grabbing a knife,
Box
The
cutter.
box
box cutter to try to ward her off.
I look like she's just doing those half-ass swings.
Yeah,
at her.
and then Mia bites her hand and takes the box cutter, extends it, and then in probably the most fucked up scene in the movie, decides to lick it.
Like,
Um,
that trailer shot.
Oh God, and then like the it splits her tongue in half, and that was all practical too.
Yeah, she actually split her tongue in half.
Yeah, for real. And then she's like, "Kiss me, you filthy cunt," or whatever the fuck she says. And then she starts making out with Natalie, unfortunately for Natalie. And then David opens the cellar door and drags her out. And then Mia's deadite is just like, "Come down here so I can suck your cock, pretty boy." And like, it's funny because Jane's like laughing in the commentary because it's like, she's like, "Y'all made me say some of the most fucked up shit." Like, and then he's like, "Ah, you're not Mia, fuck off." Or he says Mia, and then she's like, "Your sister's getting raped in hell," or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'd like to think that this movie is kind of what gave Sam Raimi the license to make the Deadites just the absolute worst shitheads in Ash vs. Evil Dead, because they were never like that bad in the originals. And then, Evil Dead Remake comes out, and then Ash vs. Evil Dead comes out, and they're all like swearing and talking about how like, "Oh, I'm gonna do this" or whatever.
Yeah, they're just assholes.
Like I think it was in that first season where Angela fucking the hiking group that Samara Weaving was with, she makes them like puppets or whatever, and then like she makes them, they're just assholes, and I love them. And yeah, that started with this movie, I'd like to think, and then he closes the cellar door and chains it up, as you do, and Eric and David are doing something, and then Natalie, I think. Oh, Eric tries to burn the book, right? Is that when he tries to do that?
Well, first he walks in, which was an added scene that I never saw when I first watched it.
Oh, yeah, and he just chugs that water.
Thanks for the water,
that's-
assholes.
I think that's after the Natalie, after Natalie's whole little dead.
after he pulls her out and closes the door, he walks in with a thing of water and
Yeah.
drinks it. Thanks for the
Okay.
water.
Because he gets fucked up by Natalie.
Yeah.
Like Eric's, like he
That's right.
He gets a turn with everyone who gets possessed in this movie.
Yeah, poor Eric, man. But yeah, so then he drinks
Then he
the water,
tries to burn the book.
and then he tries
Yeah.
to burn the book, and David and Eric are talking about that, and Eric's like starting to realize what he did, and he's like kind of having a panic attack, and while that's going on, Natalie's trying to clean her wound, and as she's squeezing like this fucking bite mark, like these black like fucking globs pop out.
Yeah.
It's gross as shit. And then eventually, her hand starts to, a la Ash in Evil Dead 2, starts to get possessed, and
Well, that's the thing about this one is I don't know if it's really getting possessed or it's just like an infection, like rapidly spreading.
yeah, okay,
Because I was gonna say I wish we could have gotten a little bit more of like her hand like moving independently and getting
Yeah.
some of that. Because in this one, yeah, it's just more like it's just
one entity passing itself to everybody,
yeah, that makes
trying
sense.
to claim them all.
That
Yeah.
makes sense, yeah.
But yeah, this one it's just more of like an infection, like quickly spreading. So she has to lop off the arm.
And then there's a line where
But didn't
what were you gonna say?
Mia trick her into doing that? Wasn't that what she was trying to get her to do in the first place? I feel like because
maybe.
the way she starts laughing after
Yeah,
she
don't
cuts it
cut
off.
Don't cut it.
Yeah, and she's doing, we're gonna get you.
And I remember seeing some like B-roll of that, I guess it was, and that like they must have shot that for a while because we only get like a couple of seconds of it in the movie, but I remember seeing clips of her just like screaming and like banging the cellar door and
Yeah,
shit
that
like
was in the
that.
special features. Yeah, but yeah, there's another part when David and Eric are talking about the book, and Eric says something along the lines of like, yeah, but if we don't do anything, they're all going to be dead by then. And they were like, yeah, we originally wanted them to say they're going to be dead by dawn, but we thought that would have been a little too on the nose.
He's like, yeah, people don't talk like that
Yeah.
in real life.
that would have been funny.
Yeah,
They're
but
going to be dead by dawn.
who says that? But yeah, I like how most of the conversations between Eric and David are basically like I guess like surrogates for the audience.
Yeah.
Like David tries to be rational, and Eric's just like, "No, you fucking idiot!"
Yeah. Like this is all going, this all sucks. Oh.
I've tried everything already. It doesn't
Mulder
work.
and Scully, basically.
Saying we have to kill them. He's like, we're not going to kill anybody. One's already dead.
Yeah.
You're a little late.
Thanks for help. Thanks for the help, asshole.
And then yeah, so then Natalie uses that little automatic knife
Yeah,
to fucking
that turkey slicer.
to fucking cut her arm off, and that shit's pretty rough. There's blood everywhere. Natalie's about to throw up. It looks like
Yeah, I was gonna say I like that. How she
She's
starts
going-
cutting it and just immediately
she's
gags.
going through it, and then I think she gets to the bone, and then she screams
Yeah.
because she probably had that adrenaline going, and then and then her blood shorts out the fucking plug and knocks the power out of the cabin. So then David and Eric go to look around, and they see the pool of blood, and then they find Natalie leaned up against the fridge, and she's like, "I did it. I'm all better now." And then she fucking turns around, and her fucking arm's just hanging by like a thread. Oh god, it's so gross. And it just plops off.
I was gonna say you might be right, Justin, but we should have taken a closer look at that scene because I can't remember if the arm is like still looks infected or if it looks normal. So I was gonna say if what you're saying is true, then yeah, the arm would just look like normal and like uninfected. So she just cut it off based on a hallucination or something like that. That might be worth checking.
Yeah, because it wasn't at the point of what the demon was doing. Like each page was, and each person was something it needed. So like it needed Olivia to skin her face.
And
Yeah.
then
It
Mia to
needed
boil herself.
needed Mia to boil herself. Needed a flesh sacrifice. So that's why I think that the demon in Mia was like, don't cut it off. No, you're going to ruin my plan. Actually, yeah, cut it off. That's what I need.
Don't do it.
Oh no.
That's why I
better
think when
not.
it shows Mia back down there, instead of peeking out of the thing, she's like holding her fingers and laughing to herself. It's like, I got that bitch.
Yeah, that's probably exactly what you say. I got you, bitch.
Gotcha, bitch.
But yeah. So then,
Yeah, looking at the clip, I think her arm is fine.
oh my god,
So I think it was just fucking with her.
that's some vile shit, man. That's crazy.
Clever bastards.
Yeah. So then, anyway, Natalie's vibing out. They duct tape her arm.
She's all better.
And then Eric and David are talking again because Natalie, they put Natalie somewhere, I think, or David and Eric are talking in the main room or something.
Yeah, Natalie's just catatonic.
And then we hear the nail gun at one point, and Natalie's scooping up. She's coming up.
Just swoosing on up.
She's swoosing on in.
She just
And-
wanted everyone to know what her favorite horror movie was.
Yes, it was Hellraiser because she nails her face all up.
She pins her head.
Yeah, and then she starts just fucking shooting at
Yeah.
Eric and David with some very precise shots. I gotta say, I'm impressed.
Well, David only gets 3 to the leg. Eric gets
Eric
Gets
goes
the rest of
clip.
them.
Eric goes through it in this shit, man. I think I remember in the kill count, James kept talking about how Eric is still not fucking dead.
Yeah.
He's still going through it. But he's
He catches 3 to the arm, and then she corners him.
and then she nails his fucking hand to his chest, and then keeps just fucking pumping him full of it.
Just unloads.
And then we get some gross ass shots of David and Eric pulling nails out of themselves, and then she grabs a crowbar and starts beating on David, and then Eric shoots her with the nail gun.
Yeah,
right?
he gets the nail gun and starts blasting her to get her off David.
and then she goes to him,
He's like, oh, sorry, man, sorry.
cripples the fuck out of his left hand.
Oof.
Oh my
She
god.
doesn't cripple it. She maims it.
Yeah.
It splits.
That's
The
yeah.
hook of the crowbar hit him right between the fingers.
just splits his
pulled it
arm.
apart.
It's rough. And then she just starts bashing him over the head. And then I think
And then right before she gets the killing blow on him,
David shoots her arm off.
blast her arm.
And then she turns around and she's like, "Why are you being mean to me?
Why are you hurting me? Why
just
does my
turns into
face
a-
hurt?
Yeah.
Why am I? Ooh, I'm dying." And then Eric just fucking starts laughing, which again, probably what I would do if I got maimed that fucking much, I'd probably be
Yeah.
laughing too. Fuck it,
And that was Lou laughing apparently.
yeah.
They in that scene, I think Natalie was originally just supposed to be like, why are you hurting me? And then Fede was like, I think gave her the line say why does my face hurt? And I think when Lou heard that, he just started laughing out of character.
Very, very good.
And
though.
then they're like, oh fuck it, we're keeping that. We'll put that in.
Yeah, it's very good. And then she I think does he take he doesn't take Natalie anywhere, does he? He just kind of leaves her there. He doesn't take her to the shed yet.
No, that's
Yeah.
not right until I think he starts doing the ritual on Mia.
Doing what he has to do to try to get Mia back.
Yeah.
Because
So for now, their bodies are just hanging out.
because he and again I'm forgetting the sequence of events here, but I know at some point Eric's all fucked up, and he and then him and David go down to the cellar at one point.
No, first, yeah, I think he just kind of sets Eric aside. He's like, hey,
He takes
Don't die.
Eric outside, puts him by the Jeep, and he's like, okay, I'm going to do what I need to do.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then that's
And-
when he starts preparing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
then
that's when he gets the gas canister, pours it all over the cellar, and is about to, I guess, just kind of take the easy way and just burn that motherfucker down.
And then lightning strikes the bush.
Yeah, she starts singing that lullaby. As mentioned earlier in the movie, she starts singing a lullaby
That their mom used
from
to
when they were
that their mom
kids.
used to sing to them. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we get the
Wait.
burning bush. God starts speaking.
God's like, hey, listen, buddy, I'm gonna help you through this. All right, just you got to do what's in the book. I know it's rough, but I'll forgive you if you do it.
But before he pours the gas all over the floor, he disposes of the others' bodies,
Yeah.
Okay, that's when he
that's
does
when
it.
he does that because he takes Natalie to the.
which wasn't in the original
Yeah.
cut of the
Yeah.
movie.
He
I don't know
takes-
why they cut it. That's a good scene.
Yeah, it's a nice homage to Evil Dead 2. Evil Dead 2 is when he does it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
he burns Olivia in the bathroom.
yeah,
And
lights
then,
her up.
and then takes Natalie to the shed.
Cuts her up.
Yeah, ties her up
And
and,
he-
then starts
He cuts
chainsawing
through,
her.
yeah, and then the blood gets on the lamp, and you get this cool exterior shot of the shed, and it's like got a red tint to it
Yeah.
as he's just like screaming. And I'm like, yeah. And I also want to say that I like how this movie sets David up as the Ash. And then it just subverts that at the very end.
Pulls
I
the
really
rug
like
out.
that. I really, again, because that's what I'm talking about, where it has enough homages and shit to the original, but then changes the rules last minute, just like Scream 4, which is exactly what the whole point of that movie was. So it's weird to see it play out, and it came out after that. But yeah. So
And it works because this is definitely more Mia's story.
yeah.
than anyone else's.
I was gonna say I like that a lot more than if it had just been another Ash, you know. And so. And, Mia's all over the promotional stuff, and she's on the cover of the fucking Blu-ray and all that, so, but yeah, so then he's about to burn Mia in the cellar, and then, she starts humming or whatever, and then God does the burning bush, and he's like, oh, fuck, okay, I guess. And then, so then he sets everything up, and he's starting to basically get everything together to have this plan to resuscitate Mia after doing a live burial.
Yeah.
Because he's hoping that the live burial will excommunicate the demon from her.
Yeah, it'll stop her heart, it'll kill her, and then he can bring her back.
Yeah,
And that's-
kickstart her heart.
And that's actually another bit of foreshadowing mentioned in the movie. They say when Mia OD'd, she was legally dead for a few minutes,
Yeah.
and Eric's like they had to defibrillate her, and it's like, oh shit, okay,
I didn't catch that. That's cool. Man, there's a lot of reincorporation in this fucking movie.
yeah,
But yeah, so then what ends up happening is he goes down into the cellar to try to basically subdue her so that way he can do the live burial.
after a nice Sam Raimi montage.
Yeah, after a very good Sam Raimi montage, and he goes down there and she gets the drop on him and starts to drown him, but then our boy Eric comes through with I think the crowbar and whacks her on the head
Yep.
and knocks her out. So then Eric.
But she got him with the box cutter.
Yeah, she gets him
at
with the box
same
cutter.
time.
Not before she can get one more.
And I think
hit
this
on
is
him.
finally where Eric fucking dies.
He's like, yep, that did it.
I think this
stabbed
is,
to the gut.
I think this is finally where he fucking dies. It's like when you're like heavily damaged in a game like Gears, and then like something touches your toe and you explode.
Yeah, you catch
Like,
one
it's-
stray bullet.
Yeah, then you're just
and you get jibbed.
yeah, it's so funny. But yeah, so and then we get a nice scene between Eric and David where Eric's like, I missed you, man. Do you know that? I really fucking missed you. And then he just dies, and I'm like, oh god, that's rough.
And then
Oh.
and then I think Lou Taylor Pucci just like held his breath for like a minute and a half as he just like falls into the water.
Yeah, very good.
I think they mentioned that behind the scenes. Like, yeah, they filmed they just filmed him just floating in the water for a while, and he had to hold his breath.
Classic. Just like Bruce Campbell before him in Evil Dead 2.
Yeah, rite of
And
passage.
then as David leaves the basement, you just hear, "You'll float too."
Yeah, right?
And the movie completely changes.
Yeah. But he takes Mia, puts her in ceremonial garb, I guess.
I never understood the dress thing.
Yeah, I guess just
To make her look nice.
well, that's I think their mom's dress. I think you can see her wearing it in the
Okay.
pictures.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right. That's nice. Again, so much fucking reincorporation in this. But yeah, so then he starts burying her, and then she comes back and she's like, David, what's going on? I can't move, and she's like freaking out. And then David's like, you're not her, and he's like, just keeps going, and then she stops and she's like, why do you hate me?
Yeah, like
And,
her
you know,
demeanor just completely changes.
Like why you were never there? I had to be there for mom. I had to do all this other stuff, and I know mom hates you now, and she waits for you in hell and all this stuff, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ.
I don't know if it was intentional or it's just the way I'm looking at it, but the way her face looks in the bag, it kind of looks like a skull.
They mentioned that in the commentary.
Yeah.
I still don't know if it was intentional, but one of them, says like, oh, like that bag kind of looks like a skull on her
There
face.
seems to be a lot of serendipity in this, with the God rays and the river and all of that. So and even the burning bush was probably real. They just didn't say anything.
Yeah, God actually spoke to them.
Yeah, God was actually like, listen, buddy, I know what y'all are doing. I'm gonna help y'all out. But yeah, so then he buries her, and then he like apologizes to her. It's a really good scene. Like
Yeah.
there's a lot of really good emotional moments in this fucking movie.
The music is really good too.
Yeah, the music's great in this sequence too. And then like he apologizes, and he's like crying or whatever, and then the bush stops burning. And God's like, you're good, bro. And then he digs her up.
Thank you, Pim.
Thank you, Pim. So then he digs her up and fucking takes her body out. and tries to defibrillate her with a fucking car battery and a couple needles, and it doesn't seem to work at first.
Which my dad had to clearly point out while watching the movie with me. That's fucking bullshit. And I'm like, okay, no one cares.
And yeah, so then that's all going, and then he's like, "Oh, well, she's dead, I guess. Oh, sad boy." And then he starts walking away, and then Mia's like, "David," and then he turns around and she's alive. Oh boy, she's breathing.
Yeah.
So then they hug and they're about to leave.
Yeah, and I remember in the theater, like when he goes up to her, people are like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Like they thought it was another fake out. I think this one is supposed to be made clear to be real. Like when he takes the bag off and like all of her injuries are gone.
Yeah.
So like all the deadite shit is out of her by this point.
Yeah, and so then David's like, "I'm gonna go get the car keys," and he gets distracted by a photo of all his friends.
Yeah.
And then he gets chunked in the neck with pliers. And then he pulls the pliers out, and then he starts bleeding. But then he tells, and then Eric's deadite says something before David sacrifices himself because he forces Mia to leave, and then he closes the cabin door, and
he says, "I think it's coming." Is what he says.
And so then David sets Eric on fire, and then allows himself to be immolated.
Yeah.
As he turns into a deadite.
Which wasn't the original.
Yeah, that wasn't in the original.
Oh, him turning into a deadite?
It ends when he shoots
just the explosion.
The gas canister.
And
And it stopped there.
Oh, so I guess that makes the Five Souls thing make more sense. Okay.
Yeah, when you see David with the deadite eyes.
Yeah, with the Sith eyes, and then the house is on fire, and then Mia finds the little. David gave her one of them hourglass things. Or magnifying glass things.
Yeah, the locket.
The locket, yeah, and then he sees it. It's in the shape of or she sees it. It's in the shape of a skull, just like in the original. And she picks it up, and she's all sad. And then it starts raining blood.
Dun dun dun.
And then all that shit starts happening.
And then Tom Araya comes out of the ground.
Yeah, just starts screaming. But the abomination comes out and grabs her arm, and it burns apparently.
Yeah, I mean this thing just came out of hell, so it's probably hot.
Yeah, so then she starts trying to get away from it. They have a little bit of a chase sequence. She gets into the work shed
and
through the foxhole.
And like leading up to this movie, my brother and I were like super fucking excited. So we were just taking in any piece of media related to it that we could get our grubby little hands on.
Yeah.
And one of them was the script. I guess got leaked.
Huh.
And most of it is the same, except the abomination. And this, it's a little bit more personal to Mia because it's just like a stuntman like wearing her face, so it's like sort of a mirror of her. And the script, if I remember correctly, it was supposed to be an amalgamation of all of her friends.
Oh, that would have been
like pieces of David, Natalie, Olivia, and Eric.
Yeah, all the souls that it claimed.
Yeah, and probably parts of her too.
Yeah.
And yeah, that would have been cool, but probably I don't know how well that would have come across in the scene. I think it's a little bit more clear when it's just like Mia's face.
They might have done like a makeup test and been like, no.
Yeah, we can't tell what the fuck this is.
Like, that's not gonna work. So then it's coming after her. She goes into the workshop through the foxhole. I like how during the Sam Raimi montage, it zooms in on the chainsaw and then goes up to look at the car battery or whatever, and then it kind of does something similar where Mia sees a machete, and then she looks up and the camera goes up and she sees the chainsaw and she grabs that, and I'm like, yeah.
Kind of reminded me of Pulp Fiction a little bit.
Yeah.
Like he sees, what was it? He sees the chainsaw and then he sees the samurai sword.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah. And then Mia is trying to start the chainsaw, but it ain't starting because it's empty. She gets what looks like Gatorade and pours it into the thing, but it's chainsaw fuel apparently.
Poison that Brondo.
And she does that, and then I don't think she's able to get it started yet. But what happens is she tries to get away because
she tries to put the cap back on and
the
drops it, and then sees the
abomination
coming out of
through the hole.
That's right.
Yeah, coming out of the foxhole.
And then she gets away and she goes through this very claustrophobic little hallway. Where she gets cut a couple times because the abomination grabs the machete, starts going after her, and she's able to break her way out of the cabin wall.
Yeah.
or the
You got to
workshed wall.
mention the great part where it scrapes against her knee very slowly.
Yeah, makes like that, like it cuts into her kneecap and like slices out, making
I didn't want to think about
making
it.
the nails on chalkboard.
I didn't want to think about it. I'm gonna be honest.
But in the commentary, they mentioned that that bit where like she's in the walls of the shed is a reference to when Ash is like running through the cabin during the chase scene in Evil Dead 2.
Okay.
And he's like going into the walls and shit.
I can see that.
They wanted that to be a little homage.
But yeah, she gets out. She makes her way to the Jeep and is able to start the thing. And then she goes under the Jeep as the Abomination's coming out. The Abomination goes to the Jeep. She cuts him. She cuts its legs at like the shin ankle kind of.
Yeah, she gets the chainsaw started, swings it out, and chops off one of its legs at the shin.
And then it starts crawling.
Yeah, starts making pig noises.
And then Mia tries to get away. It flips the Jeep onto her hand.
Yeah, just one hands that shit, just pushes it over.
And in one of the most uncomfortable sequences in the movie, the Abomination crawls around to come and get her. And Mia's trying to reach the chainsaw, and she can't because of her hand, which is already looking like it's got bits of separation on it. And she tries to... She eventually says, "I'm tired of this shit," so she pushes herself
Yeah, just like
off of the Jeep.
just braces herself against it and then just rips her own hand off.
Rips the that's awful.
Yeah.
That's like the worst fucking thing to do. It hurts. It looks like it hurts so fucking bad. Oh, I hate it. I hate it so much. But then she gets the chainsaw, and then the Abomination comes up to her. She stands up, and the Abomination is like, "Stars," and then she's like, "You want stars? I'll give you stars." That's not what she actually says, but same energy, because what happens...
No, she does the Jill remake line. Next time, take the fucking hint.
Yeah, next time, take the fucking hit. Yeah, it's so good. But yeah, so then she, it's like, "I'm gonna feast on your soul," and she's like, "Feast on this, motherfucker," and then she just puts the chainsaw into her mouth,
then we get
into its mouth.
The
and
most Gears of War scene I've ever seen in a movie.
I was
Starts
gonna say,
on.
we just get that metal ass shot of her sawing this thing in the face. It's raining blood. There's a burning cabin behind
yeah,
her.
it's fucking cool.
Shit bangs.
Hype as shit.
That's another difference from the script. Because in the script, the exchange is, "I'll swallow your soul. Swallow this motherfucker." And then she shoves it in the face.
Swallow your soul. I guess because Ash already said that in Evil Dead 2, they were like, let's give Mia her own.
Yeah, they wanted to make it
Her own
more
thing.
original.
I like how also she stuck her severed arm into the chainsaw
Yeah.
first and be like, "This is my hand."
Yeah. And then she goes off and kills it. And then it seeps back into the ground.
Yeah.
And then we get some God rays as the rain stops and the cabin, I guess, dies. I don't know. And then she's walking away. And as she's walking away, the camera goes back to the book. And then the book closes. And we watched the extended version. So mid-credits, after some credit sequences that were, again, shot practically, mid-credits, we get Mia walking down the road and she collapses. And some fucking dude hops out of his truck.
Are you okay?
Yeah, my hand's all right, I guess. And then he's like, "I'm gonna take you to the hospital. Don't worry." And then it's them in the truck, and the camera slowly zooms in on Mia's face, and she opens her eyes, but they're not dead-eyed eyes.
Yeah.
And Cale was mentioning that he thinks it might be unfinished or something.
Yeah, I think I remember reading that in the script, and it said it's supposed to be dead-eyed eyes.
Which then led to us talking about how if this movie had ever gotten a sequel or something, Mia would have been able to like tap into that deadite, part of herself.
Isn't she just soulless now?
Yeah, you'd think, right?
I don't think it took her soul. I think it's more just kind of fed off of it.
Because she talks about how horrible it was.
Yeah.
And to me, that was me thinking she was in hell. And then she comes back and she's like, "Oh, fuck, that was awful."
Because I don't think you're supposed to come back the way she did. But I think by that point it had already eaten its fill of her.
It was all-you-can-eat buffet, and it was full. Rolled itself out of the buffet. But then, after all the credits, we get a little cameo from everybody's favorite Deadite killer. It's just a profile of Bruce Campbell shrouded in shadow, and he turns and looks he says "groovy," and then he looks at the camera, and then the movie ends.
Yeah.
And they didn't mention anything about that in the commentary, which kind of bummed me out a little bit. But that is Evil Dead.
Yeah.
That is how...
One of the better horror remakes.
Absolutely. So, that is Yeah, I was gonna say I think I like it a lot more than I ever thought I would. It's very good. So a couple things with the production of it before I go into the reception and everything. So one of the things I wrote down from the commentary was that the idea for the siren in the score, which pops up every now and then, it kind of gives it a very foreboding feeling, and I like it a lot. Came from the composer's experience with living in L.A. He was trying to sleep one night, and he was having trouble because of the various noise pollution, more specifically the sirens. So he's like, in L.A., he's like, all you hear is ambulances and police sirens and fire trucks and shit.
That figures.
So let me see. A lot of this stuff we already kind of covered. At least this stuff for here. Or at least the stuff for the main the main story.
The score was one of the things that my brother and I found early. So we would listen to the score and then try and pick out like where in the script that song would come up.
Oh, that's cool.
And that final bit, like the Abomination score, is just like this 8-minute suite of just like that whole sequence. And like when she finally kills it and chainsaws it in the face. That whole bit is really cool because like all the instruments start going crazy and everyone in the choir just starts like screaming.
That's cool.
It's like the shit sounds awesome.
Yeah, the score is very good in this movie. So apparently the scene where Mia wakes up from her accident was inspired by a scene from Wild at Heart. I haven't seen Wild at Heart, so I don't know exactly.
It's one of the few Lynch movies I haven't seen.
That's one of those David Lynch movies that I have not seen yet. Tree rape scene was Rob Tappert's idea. Yep. Apparently, when Mia was killing the dog, Jane Levy was hitting a sponge that was soaked with blood, and apparently Jade said that she screamed so loud during the filming of it that it hurt the sound guy's ears.
Oh my god!
She was, like I said, she fucking acted her ass off.
Yeah,
man.
She's screaming for like 75% of this movie.
Yeah, it was very good. Let me see, got that one. Needle out of his face wasn't CGI. Yep.
I think they mentioned during one of the scenes where David and Eric is talking, David's voice is like raspy. Because I think they said Shiloh had like blown out his voice screaming like the day before.
I believe it. Yeah, and then when Mia splits her tongue, part of it was her actual tongue on a fake knife, and then it switched to a prosthetic tongue that was being controlled, like radio controlled by somebody else. And then Fede made the decision to have Eric try to burn the book in order to play with audience expectations, which he seemed to do a lot in this anyway. At one point, Natalie was supposed to pull like insects out of her hand.
Yeah, I think in the commentary they say she's supposed to like pull a worm out of one of the bite marks.
But Fede was like, I didn't want to make it too supernatural or something like that. I'm like, what the fuck do you mean by that? It's already supernatural. Like, what do you mean? It doesn't make any sense. And then, Jane Levy said that the Abomination was played by a 60-year-old man that was wearing a mask of her face. And then, all the...
Just like Sleepaway Camp.
All the visuals during the credits were shot practically with high-speed cameras. So in some of the behind-the-scenes stuff, Jane Levy was talking about how much she enjoyed working with Fede Alvarez, which makes sense because she was in Don't Breathe.
Yeah.
And she said that she liked that it was very collaborative between all the actors and stuff, and that he let them kind of like find their character in their own way. And Fede said that his favorite scene is when David's apologizing to Mia, and Jane Levy was also present throughout the entire process of filming that scene, including the moment when she fucking gets buried.
Yeah.
So like all of that was.
She was actually had a plastic bag on her head and was, buried for.
She was fucking buried alive.
At least a little bit.
That is insane commitment to the bit, man. That is fucking crazy.
And like she said, like when they called cut, she just had to like push herself out.
Oh my god. Oh Jesus. So anyway, and then Fede talked about how he kind of prides himself on using a bunch of old school and unique filming tricks to make the scenes as scary and gory as possible. I think he was mainly talking about when they shot Natalie's arm off, how they tried it a bunch of different ways, and they just did like this quick shot where somebody just throws the fucking arm against the wall, and he's like, and that ended up looking the best.
Yeah, I think he said in the commentary when that scene, he's like, yeah, that's just me throwing a fake hand against the wall.
So, and then here's the producer, well, Bruce Campbell and Rob Tappert specifically. Sam Raimi wasn't in this, but Rob Tappert wanted the Evil Dead remake to be as polarizing and shocking as the original, probably why he wanted the tree rape scene again. Sam Raimi was all for remaking Evil Dead, but Bruce Campbell was hesitant because he was worried that it would be a disservice to the fans. And then Sam Raimi met Fede Alvarez after he made his short film called Panic Attack. Raimi initially approached Fede to produce a feature film based on that, but it fell through, as it does. And Fede then pitched Sam his version of Evil Dead, and Sam Raimi was like, yeah, that sounds good, we'll do it. So Bruce Campbell was happy to produce the remake once he realized that there wouldn't be any Ash character really, or that Ash wouldn't be like in it, that there wouldn't be a character named Ash. He said I didn't want to watch a younger actor just do what I did back in the 80s. That'd be fucking boring.
Yeah.
And then he said, and then that led into him saying the last thing we wanted was for it to just be an exact remake of Evil Dead 1 and 2, you know, which is kind of how the Friday the 13th remake was. More or less from what I've heard.
That one's just more of an amalgamation of
that's
all
like
the
a
movies.
mixture of multiple of the movies.
Of more than the because I remember reading that it was mainly the first three.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, Pamela's only in like the intro,
Yeah, I know that.
but then everything after that is just Jason being Jason.
Classic Jason. But anyway, yeah, Bruce said that he was very happy with Jade Levy's performance.
Yeah.
In fact, he said that he's like you know, he's like if fans are now like she's the new Ash, he's like fine. He's like I'm happy with that. He's like she did fucking great. And then Bruce Campbell also personally sent an email to all the actors to warn them on how fucking crazy the shoot was gonna be.
Yeah.
So he was like, listen, y'all got to know what you're getting yourself into because this is not gonna be fun. He's like, I mean, it's going to be a good movie. He's like, but it's going to take a lot out of you. And it did. So the producers deliberately put references to the original films for fans of the originals. Their main goal was to make sure the film would be received well by those same fans. And Bruce Campbell said that after watching the first cut, like the rough cut of the film, he knew that they were going to be okay. He was like, y'all did it. He's like, we don't have anything. He's like, we were so nervous going into that. He's like, we were just like, fuck, like, what if they fucked it up? Like, what if we made a mistake?
What if it sucks?
And then we watched it. We were like, oh, you're good. You're good. You did it. And I'm really hoping Evil Dead Rise is the same thing because they're all producers on that. So
Yeah.
I'd have to hope that they approached it with the same kind of, you know, I guess, respect to the original.
Reverence.
Yeah, reverence. There we go. So there was a special feature called "Making Life Difficult," where Jade Levy talked about how hard it was to film scenes that were especially violent and psychologically heavy. But much like Bruce Campbell in the original, she felt that it was a good learning experience. Jane Levy also said that filming the scenes in the woods were especially the worst because she was cold and it was freezing.
Yeah.
And like she was openly crying during the whole process, and she would like have to like give herself a few minutes between shots, between takes, because it was like so hard on her. The blood vomit scene was the most uncomfortable thing, according to her. The climactic final battle with the Abomination was also very hard to film for her because it was late at night, still cold,
Yep.
constant barrage of fake blood raining on her the entire time. And but despite all of this, Jane Levy was like, "Yeah, it was fun though." And obviously, I mean, there weren't really any hard feelings if she worked with Fede again on Don't Breathe.
Yeah.
So you know,
I don't know if she'd do one of these again, but
probably not. But anyway, so then there was another special feature talking about how they wanted the evil to be in the movie. It was called Unleashing the Evil Force. They wanted the Necronomicon in the film to feel like it had been passed on from person to person, like Cale was kind of talking about with all the different scribblings and stuff. And that's very good.
it's like a yearbook and everyone like signs their name in it.
So Bruce Campbell said that he would like to believe that the book can transcend time and space itself. He thinks that the same book can exist in two different universes, and also that if you find a book in a cabin in the woods, just go away.
Yeah.
But he was saying how, like, you know, he's like, yeah, the book looks different in this. He's like, but what I'd like to think is that, like, you know, considering how Army of Darkness worked out.
Yeah, I was gonna say
he's
because
like-
he changed the time, so maybe he didn't find the book.
Yeah, maybe that's
this is-
different, you know.
It's like BioShock.
But he was always prophesized to find the book anyway, so like it's another splinter off of that is what I think this should be, and that's why, like, maybe in this universe, the Ash and his friends all died in the cabin, and that's why the Oldsmobile is there. You know, like that might be. There's a lot of interpretation you could give to this, which is why I'm sad that there was never a sequel or anything.
There's always a book. There's always a shotgun.
Yeah,
Always a chainsaw.
Just like BioShock Infinite, there's always those three things. But anyway, so there's always a bunch of crazy editing choices and camera work. And then the final special feature that I watched was called Being Mia, which is basically just Jane Levy having like a personal diary. She said she really liked the makeup for Evil Mia. I think, for like when she's in the cellar and everything. And she was also like surprisingly upbeat during all of this, despite it being hell.
I mean, you'd have to be.
And she was talking about how hard it was for like it took them a long time to like get all the blood makeup on her because she's like continuity for this is a bitch. Like
yeah.
it takes a lot of effort. Like they have to constantly look back at like reference photos and stuff.
Yeah.
And then the last thing in the thing was Jane Levy talking about how like I threw a temper tantrum during the blood raining sequence. She's like, because I'm fucking tired of this. Like I just really needed a break. She's like, so luckily y'all aren't gonna see that. She's like, but yeah, it was pretty rough. But you know, all in all, she seemed to have had a pretty okay time with it. And I don't know. I mean, it continues the tradition of just actors going through hell, and I think part of it is because everything's all practical and everything. And yeah, it's fine as long as nobody died. I think it's okay.
I mean, and like as long as their needs were addressed.
Yeah.
Like I feel like if it was Sam, he would have been like, "Fucking deal with it."
Yeah, Sam would have been like, he's okay. It'll be fine. He's fine. He's only bleeding a little bit."
Just 15 more minutes, and 3 hours later.
But anyway, so this movie, when it came out in theaters, in its opening weekend, it grossed $25.8 million, finishing first at the box office. Not bad for a remake, but remakes were kind of in at the time. Went on to gross $54 million domestically and $43.3 million internationally. The worldwide gross was $97.5 million, and that was a huge box office success because it was only a budget of $17 million.
Oh wow!
Now, as far as reception goes, critical response, our everybody's favorite website, Rotten Tomatoes,
Kill me.
has the film at a fresh rating of 63%. So apparently the average rating was 6 out of 10, and the consensus was, it may lack the absurd humor that underlined the original, but the new look Evil Dead compensates with brutal terror, gory scares, and gleefully bloody violence.
Yeah,
you know,
fair enough.
yeah, that's fair. I don't know if I'd rate it that fucking low. Jesus. Apparently IGN gave it a 9 out of 10.
Oh well.
That's probably closer to what I'd give it if I'm being honest. But again, I mean, this is like...
I mean, just because it's not the original doesn't mean it's bad. Like it definitely has its own identity.
Yeah.
I mean, and like we said, like it's got a really tight script.
That's
like,
what made it great. Like it didn't try to be the original.
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem with that happens with a lot of remakes is people will just compare it to the original.
Yeah. And that's the burden of remakes.
But I'm curious to know what like the general fan reception is, because I know our good friend Joe I was talking to him the other night about how we were gonna do this one soon, and he's like, it's fine, and I'm like, well, you didn't like it? He's like, it's not that I didn't like it. He's just like, you know, I remember I watched it in theaters, and I was just kind of like, yeah, this is a movie. He's like, but I guess, you know, he might like the more screwball elements of the original trilogy. I guess.
Is he a fan of the originals?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, him and Phelan are both big fans of Evil Dead. Yeah.
Because I think I remember someone talking about it in high school, saying that like I guess to them it just kind of felt like generic. And I guess if you're not really familiar with it, then yeah, it'll just kind of seem like, oh, just people in a cabin and then the evil stuff happens.
But that only goes to show like how much Evil Dead influenced everything.
Exactly.
It's like when one of our friends who likes to talk shit about the Beatles was talking about it one time, and they were like, and they compared it to a modern band that I guess sounds like the Beatles, and I was like, yeah, that's because they're influential, you idiot. Like,
Where do you think they got it from?
What point are you trying to make here? Like, all you're doing is just pointing out that they're influential, like, which is what I'm pointing out. But yeah, so like the first Evil Dead obviously was super influential. So, you know, I mean, it's not surprising that people would watch it and be like, I've seen it before. Well, yeah, you probably have, but I think it's great.
Yeah?
I think it's very good.
If you're gonna retell an old story, this is the way to do it.
Yes, and it was like, I like this more than the remake for the Crazies, but it's like the remake for the Crazies, where it kind of took everything the original did and then just did its own thing off of that. It worked with the bones of the original,
Yeah.
and then just, you know, made its own thing out of it. But the franchise as a whole, I think it's a pretty worthy addition, personally.
Yeah.
Just like Ash vs. Evil Dead is as well.
I mean, the fact that like diehard fans, like at least the majority of them, like it as much as they do.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like it's well liked by most fans.
Yeah.
of the original.
Like anytime the discussion of horror remakes come up, it's always mentioned.
But yeah,
as
it's a
being
shame.
quality.
It's a shame it never got a sequel because I know Fede Alvarez and Sam Raimi wanted to make one, but I guess it just never materialized.
I mean, to be fair, he did good with this one and Don't Breathe, and then he kind of had a pretty much a downturn for the rest of his career.
What else has Fede done?
Don't Breathe 2.
Yeah, that was bad.
Did he direct Don't Breathe 2?
He at least wrote it. That one, I think he wrote and produced Texas Chainsaw Massacre on Netflix.
What?
Oh yeah, he was involved in that one.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. I gotta fucking do some research real quick. Let me see.
I think he did. He directed like The Girl in the Spider's Web. I think like they tried to do a thing with that, and apparently that didn't go over well.
Okay, yeah. Don't Breathe 2 was directed by the co-writer for Evil Dead.
Oh, Rodo Sayagas.
Yeah, and Fede. Let me see. What else have you done, you fucking silly man? Hold on. Filmography. Evil Dead, Don't Breathe. The Girl in the Spider's Web, he did that, apparently. Don't Breathe 2, and then he did the story for Texas Chainsaw, so he's not the whole reason that thing sucked.
I mean, the story's not great.
Yeah,
it's
but like,
just Halloween, but bad.
In that movie is the most dumb
Yeah,
thing
but
you
like-
could have pulled out of modern times.
But like that's the thing is like it's just a story credit, which could mean that it might have been radically different when he turned in the script and then somebody else fixed it.
I guess.
Or fixed it in
Yeah.
quotes.
fucking Netflix.
He still produced it though.
Yeah, he gave it money.
That's rough. He still produced it. Well, maybe in an alternate universe he made
Yeah, he brought it back.
he made it.
Man, I understand throwing modern shit into movies, but the way they're doing it now is just like not even very subtle or good.
What are you talking about modern stuff?
Like Chainsaw Massacre. Oh, don't try anything or you're gonna get canceled, bro. Like,
Yeah, people
oh,
like
well,
I
that's
don't
like
want to hear that
streaming
shit
it on Instagram
when I'm
and
trying to
shit like
enjoy
that.
a fucking movie. Like,
well, that's just because it didn't know what it wanted to be. It was trying to be so.
I like the way Scream did it.
I was gonna say. So,
and then that was the reason I didn't watch Bodies.
well, but apparently
that's-
that's actually good.
apparently
Well,
that's
yeah,
good.
apparently it's good, but all that stupid language
Yeah.
and the way they talk
all
just
the Gen Z
turns
stuff,
me off.
All the
and I
Gen
just
Z
do
stuff.
not want to
And that
deal
one,
with it.
I think that's the point of
Yeah.
the movie. I think it's trying to like satirize that as opposed to like, oh, the kids will like this. This is
Yeah.
this
Yeah,
is relatable.
no, it's not like Texas Chainsaw where it was like, oh, we got to relate to him. But I was gonna say, as much as I like Halloween 2018 and as much as I love the Scream franchise, both have done irreparable damage to horror in the sense that Texas Chainsaw Massacre exists, where they try to make it kind of meta and then they try to make it kind of Halloween, and it's not good at all. And then like I don't know, it's just not. It's whatever. And then I think the point of that particular scene was them trying to be like, I don't know. I think that was supposed to be tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
But it's just cringy writing in general.
I mean, the
Yeah.
whole movie's premise was cringy.
Yeah, I know that. It's not a good movie. Like that's the point. It's not a great movie. It's just a bunch of insufferable characters. Like the one thing,
Leatherface walking away from what's her face defines that whole movie.
yeah, it's just like the one. If there's one thing I can give Scream credit for, is that it can make despicable people likable. And it makes you give a shit about the characters in one way or another, whether because they're entertaining or because you actually care.
Yeah, I feel like it's because
The Negan effect.
like the Scream series kind of always has like that tinge of comedy to it.
Yeah.
So a lot of the characters just kind of go over the top and
But
makes it a lot more fun.
But sometimes with horror movies, I mean I understand the point of a slasher is to see a bunch of people you don't care about die, but that doesn't mean you have to make them insufferable people that you hate watching until they die. You know what I mean?
I mean, like, this one, like all the characters could just been pieces of shit,
Yeah.
but like they have actual character, like they have
Yeah.
unique relationships with each other, and they're not all assholes.
And that's what I'd rather have.
Yeah.
This is like when I was watching Chainsaw, and at the end where her sister gets her head cut off, I was not like, oh my god, she died, she didn't make it. I was like, thank God she died.
Yeah, because
Finally.
she's like an insufferable fucking person. I think I remember reading. It's like in the first Texas Chainsaw when that fucking her brother gets
Franklin.
fucking carved up. I was like, like I literally like stood up and like clapped. I was like, yes, thank fucking God. This dude is annoying as shit. Oh my goodness. So like, it's funny because there's a YouTube critic for Red Letter Media that was like live tweeting while he was watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and he was like I don't know. He's like, this movie's just so like fucking confusing. He's like it's like it doesn't know what it wants to be because it's like trying to make a comment on like the trauma of a school shooting, but
Yeah.
then like they have her try to use a gun at the end. He's like, and that's supposed to be like some big character moment, but then the safety's on, so it doesn't work. So is it supposed to be like a joke that she doesn't know how to use a gun because she's scared of them? He's like, I don't know what it's trying to do. And then he was like, also her sister is the most insufferable fucking character in the franchise. And he's like, and this is a franchise where this character exists. And he put a picture of Franklin. And I was like,
Was that Jay?
Like, yeesh, yeah, that was Jay.
Of course.
I was like, yeesh. I'm like, I'm not looking forward to watching that one when we cover Texas Chainsaw.
I just like
At
how they're
all.
making a big deal about guns in Texas.
Jesus. Oh my God! What a fucking nightmare of a movie.
Should have brought back Matthew McConaughey.
Woo! What's that fucking scream that he does? Yeah, that's what it was. That fucking scream. But yeah, so I'm just glad that Evil Dead worked. I really hope Evil Dead Rise continues the same level of quality. Again, the franchise as a whole is fantastic. I don't think there's a single bad entry in it.
Yeah.
I think, personally, after watching this one, the original might be the weakest for me, just because it was everything that Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness did. I think felt better.
Well, I think it has the burden of being the first one.
Yeah, being the first one, and I think
it's like Star Wars.
And I don't know if I like this remake as much or a little bit more as the original. I don't know.
They're about on the same level for me, I think.
They
get the same thing done in different ways.
Yeah, I think it's I think Evil Dead 2013 might have a slight edge over the original, but
I go remake to Army 1.
yeah, I don't know. It would probably be 2 still my favorite, and then it would probably be remake and 1 are basically tied, and then Army of Darkness. And not that Army of Darkness is bad. It's just that I don't know. I'd rather watch Evil Dead 2. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, two's in the lead for me. Probably Army of Darkness after that, and then this one and the first are tied.
Yeah, it's and I don't know, because like Army of Darkness I kind of put on the same level as the first one too, so that's why my ranking's just kind of weird. It's not like Halloween where I can definitively say like which one I think is better than the other, because all those movies vary in quality so significantly. And in this one, I enjoy every single movie, so it's hard for me to like rank it.
They vary in tone a lot, but
Yeah.
the quality is pretty consistent.
Like even with Scream, I love all those movies, but I can tell you which one I think is the best, like without a doubt.
the first one.
Yeah, the first one easily. But like this one, it's kind of, I don't know, it's weird. But I'm excited for Evil Dead Rise. When that one comes out on Blu-ray, I'm assuming Cale's going to join us for that.
Might as well. Yeah.
I'd assume might as well. And outside of that, I don't know when he's gonna pop up again. Maybe if we do a one-off that he wants to sit in on, or maybe if we do fucking Phantasm or Puppet Master. I don't know.
Yeah.
But those two are a little ways away because I don't want to do.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know how you guys plan series like that,
Yeah,
but
I don't want to do 13 fucking Puppet Master movies, man.
Ugh.
Not right now. That's gonna take a whole fucking year to do. It feels like. But no, we already know what the next series we want to be is. At least the poll, anyway. I guess I'll go ahead and say it now. I don't know when you're gonna put the poll up though.
When I figure out how to do it.
Because next week we're doing Halloween Ends. We're not doing a one-off. We're just going straight from Halloween Ends to the next franchise. So I would assume we put the poll up after this one. And then by the time Halloween Ends rolls around, we'll decide who's it gonna be. So it's basically the 4 choices are Child's Play, Hostel, Hatchet, and Ju-on, which is the Grudge. Which Grudge has a lot, but like all Child's Play has a lot too. So Hatchet and Hostel would be the shortest ones.
well, for Ju-on, are you doing like everything?
Yes.
Because there's like movies. There's like Ju-on the Grudge, Ju-on the Curse.
Well, the Curse.
Ju-on White Ghost, Ju-on Black Ghost.
The Curse. The Curse and Black Ghost and White Ghost are basically. We can just do that in one episode.
Yeah, I guess so.
Not like 2 separate episodes, one for Black and White, and then one for Curse and Curse 2. But then the Grudge and the Grudge 2 will be 2 separate episodes, and then the remakes. Both remakes will probably be the same episode as well.
There's a Grudge 3, by the way.
What the fuck?
Yes.
It's not in that. It's not in the fucking collection.
It's too goddamn bad.
Is it?
Hit up Walmart. They probably got it.
Is there a remake? Is there a sequel to the remake as well, outside of the other remake that came out in like 2020?
There was a American Grudge 2.
Okay. So all the American ones I feel like we'll probably just do in one episode because there's not really a lot to say about those, I don't think.
Probably. Yeah.
And then the Grudge 3 will be a separate thing too. But if the Grudge ends up winning, we'll worry about it. We'll worry about it at that point. But those are the 4. Justin will figure out how to fucking pull that, and then we'll be good. And then we'll figure it out. But next week is Halloween Ends. It's gonna be a long one. it's gonna be a long episode.
I'm gonna watch it again tonight
because there's a lot to talk about with it. There's a lot. It's gonna be a long episode.
Extended things do for it.
Well, it's not an extended cut. I think it's just special features. It's just deleted scenes, I think.
Oh.
But
I kind of wonder what all they had planned for that, because my brother's reading the novelization, or he read through it, and I think it was written by one of the screenwriters.
Yeah. And
he said that shit goes like way deeper into it.
Yeah.
Like that shit sounds like It with Michael Myers.
Yeah, it's like I'm going to talk about this in the next episode, but I feel like if Kills didn't exist and this was the sequel to Halloween 2018 and then you had another movie to finish off whatever it set up, I think that would have been better than what we got.
So Kills should have been Ends and Edge should have been Kills.
Kinda, but not really.
Save it for the episode.
I'll talk about it next week because there's a lot to it.
I'm gathering my thoughts for this.
There's a lot, but I'm gonna go pick it up at Best Buy after we're done here because I already have it ordered. But yeah, that's the next episode, and then after that, whatever franchise we do is whatever franchise we do, and then we'll go back to doing one-offs. Yeah, that's Evil Dead as a franchise complete until Evil Dead Rise comes out. Yeah, I had a lot of fun watching these again and talking about them.
Yeah, good
Thanks
movies.
for joining us, Cale.
Mm-hmm.
You man, you.
Thank you.
It's we're working out. We're working it out.
Yeah.
Everything's coming to an end. Oh boy.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know where I'm going with that. But anyway, yeah, Evil Dead. It's been a lot of fun. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Yeah.
Follow the fucking Facebook page, the Gore Goblins Facebook page, where Justin talks sometimes.
So you can vote.
Yeah.
So you
or
can
just
vote.
comment something.
Or you could comment on this fucking video and tell us which one you want, which series you want us to do next, and we'll factor it in.
Tell us what you think.
And I would say that I would do a Twitter poll, but I don't think anybody on my Twitter listens to this, so it's fine. But that's besides the point. Follow me on Twitter anyway, at Mustachio Cage, whatever. And, subscribe to us on YouTube, subscribe to us on Spotify, wherever the fuck you listen to podcasts. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, just listen to us.
We'll find you.
Yeah, we'll find you. We'll come to your house and we'll force you to listen to us, and it will not be pleasant at that point. But thanks for listening. Thanks for joining us on Evil Dead, the whole franchise.
Yeah.
Minus the series.
Yes, mine is Ash vs. Evil Dead.
We've talked about that throughout these.
Because I'm not about to fucking make these two watch all 3 seasons again. And
one episode per.
Again, I've never seen them.
Per podcast.
You heard me. Anyway, yeah, one episode per podcast. Today we're talking about Ash vs. Evil Dead episode 1. Yeah. But yeah, and yeah. Oh, also Happy New Year, everybody. We got some things planned. We got a special thing planned for April Fools that we're gonna do, and then we got a couple of timely series coming up this year. Scream we're gonna do after 6 comes out on Blu-ray, I think, and then Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street are gonna be done concurrently because of Freddy vs. Jason. During the summer. When during the summer? I don't fucking know, but it's going to be during the summer. And we're going to do... The way that's going to work is I think we have it mapped out to where Freddy vs. Jason will be the Nightmare movie that we watch. Or no, it'll be a Friday the 13th movie, but we're basically going to do them at the same time. And it's going to work out. You'll see. It'll be cool. But anyway, so we're going to do that in the summer. That'll be a lot of fun because I love Nightmare on Elm Street. And Friday the 13th is a franchise that I've always known everything about but never watched. So, I'm excited to do that. Plus, that'll give me a chance to finally break into my fucking giant Friday the 13th box set that Mom bought me a couple years ago for Christmas. So there's a lot of special features in that bitch, so I can't wait. But yeah, thanks for listening. Thanks for listening to us for half of 2022.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll keep growing this year and keep putting out subpar podcasts that you put on in the background. Can't wait to see what this year brings us, everybody. Cale will show up maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. He might. He might not. He might just be a puppet. Who knows? But that's besides the point. Anyway, thanks for listening. And have a good 2023, everybody.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's all we got. Anything else y'all want to say? For any chance?
No.
No.
Don't tell a horse to fix a merry-go-round, because he'll just get horrified.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, that was the line from Rick and Morty I was thinking
That's
about.
the one that got you.
It
All
was
right.
like-
Cool.
That's like telling a horse to fix a merry-go-round. He'll try his best, but mostly he's just gonna get horrified.
That's fair though. That's fair. Anyway, yeah. Everybody say bye. Have a good time.
Bye.
Bye.